Welcome back. Episode 61 of the Ground Up podcast. The PM unveils AI breakthrough to slash planning delays and help build 1.5 million homes. I'm actually, pleasantly surprised that Labour brought this in. This cutting-edge technology will help councils convert decades-old handwritten planning documents and maps into data in minutes. Around 350,000 planning applications are submitted a year in England, yet the system remains heavily reliant on paper documents, some hundreds of pages long.
Love it. I think it's the way the world needs to go.
I think it's amazing. I think it's definitely what the UK needs.
Padel, going mental in the UK.
That hairband that you own is going to get some serious use once you get on those courts.
Is it a paddle racket or paddle board?
Crypto, Stu, have you seen this? American Express going to launch the One Card, 4% Bitcoin back on all purchases. In a way, this could be a great way for businesses to start tapping into Bitcoin without having to think about buying it and all that other stuff.
I'll start with 500 off the ground.
We finally got him, Stu.
The influence of Stu.
Goggles.
Ground up sound. Ooh, yeah. Real estate deals. We lay them down, let's get those deals. Deals making money, baby.
Welcome back. Episode 61 of the Ground Up podcast. Today we have a fully prepared docket, so hopefully we'll get through some interesting topics here, some pretty relevant stuff if you're in the property space. Things like the new AI tools that are coming in for planning officers to revolutionize the planning process. This is actually happening as of 2026, so we'll dive into the details there. And also, as of right now, the EPC changes that are coming in as well. We'll dive into those details, which will affect everyone and every landlord. And then also padel courts. It's like a new craze in the UK. And we're going to talk about the growth rates there because it is pretty insane. If you like padel and you're getting into padel, then we're going to hash through that as well. And American Express have just come out with a new 4% Bitcoin back on all of your spending. And that's also quite interesting. I'm sure Stuart's going to love that. Now, look, if you've not heard this podcast before, we are the Ground Up podcast. We are 4 property developers from the UK. We're missing Dorian today, but we do have Jack Jiggins, Stuart Wyeth, and myself, Ryan Beaumont. We're 4 property developers. We run multiple businesses. We've got lots of staff. We've got lots of sites on the go. And we just talk about the trials and tribulations every week. So hopefully you like it. Make sure you subscribe. Drop us a comment. Share this episode with anyone who you think may find it useful. And we just chinwag and go through relevant stuff to try and be as helpful as we can. Sometimes we get into rabbit holes and chat a lot of shit. But anyway, enjoy. Big love. Gents. How are we getting on, Jack? Why are you dressed up in the old XP kit?
On a fancy dress party.
Full kit wanker. I was going to say something else that mean I didn't swear, but there we go. I couldn't think of anything that rhymed with it, banker. Yeah, I've been invited to Searchland's Golf Day, and I was like, I don't really like, and I know Stu's a bit different because he lives the life of Riley. I don't really like doing things like this on a working day. It kind of like bothers me. I could be doing other stuff.
Yeah. Let it go, Jack. Let it go.
But
Be
I thought
peace.
to myself, what would Stuart do? No, I thought to myself, I'd do it because it's only like less than half a mile from my house and my office. So a bit ridiculous to not take him up on it. And I know the course, so I'm very competitive. And if you know the course, it's like a bit like walking the track of Formula One. I know it inside out. So hopefully I'll be smashing up the land geeks at Searchland today. So that's why I'm full kit wanker. Always a good opportunity to express yourself and your business. And I always wear XP survey stuff because it's an easy service to sell, right? Everyone needs a survey.
And it's not just a jolly, is it? It's not just a jolly. Like, you'll get leads out of it, hopefully. A few opportunities, maybe.
Exactly. Rubbing shoulders. There's a lunch. Lunch and awards for like nearest to pin and all that sort of stuff. So it will be good to meet people. And obviously I'm head of acquisitions, so it's good to meet other people and ask what they're doing and successes they're having in acquisitions at the moment. So there's obvious value in there, but sometimes 4 hours around a golf course, I feel like I could be doing more.
Well, how you getting on with acquisitions, mate? Because you had to find a new guy, didn't you? What was going on?
Yeah. So yeah, good actually. So I don't know if any other business owner can relate to this, but when you have one of your favorite team members go, I'm moving on, and you're like, fuck, it's taking good time to get them to where they're at. They're getting on really well. And then it's kind of like wind comes out as your sales and you think, oh God. But I kind of knew it was inevitable. Our acquisitions guy is super intuitive and he's kind of always alluded to doing his own thing. But anyway, yes, we had to replace him. And every time I replace someone, even though there's, I always say the guy leaving is Aaron. I was like, the new person's not going to be an Aaron, but they're going to be themselves. They're going to carve their own way in that role. And that's how I love seeing it now. And you can actually get sometimes, equal or different replacements that give you same value or even sometimes more value because you got a new fresh blood and eyesight in the gig. So we brought in a guy called Stephen, who's actually from a more land-led development company, SME development company. They focus a lot more on parcels of land, direct to vendor, taking sites through planning. He actually moved because his last firm were trading all those sites on. So he'd bring about 4 or 5 sites in, get the consents and trade it on. Obviously, the benefit coming to us is he gets to see it built, which is the main reason that he left. And he's getting on really well. He's come in, done a bit of training with Aaron already, a bit of training with me, and he's already got some warm leads.
Anything south of the M4, Jack? I need a deal desperately. So anything he finds that's a little bit out your area, do throw my way, mate.
No dramas. I actually met someone at Reading Property Meet, believe it or not, who is a acquisitions guy who's kind of going out and doing his own thing, and he's got a bit. He's trying to, while he's sort of building up his stuff, trying to bring some acquisition fees in. So I'll introduce him to you. And
we're looking. We've got like 10 offers out, but no one. They just all want too much. I'm just not going to go for it all. Not with the risk. They almost want the planning uplift, the extra few floors on top, the total potential, and then they want the full market price. I'm like, no fucking way. It's not worth that. It's worth half that.
When I have a really optimistic, the beauty is that the phrase "the beauty is in the eye of the beholder" is always the case, right? The person that owns the site always thinks it's worth the best value in the marketplace, and that's just natural. When I have a deal that I'm always struggling to get over the line because they're toppy or they're confident in their values, I always just call them out on it and either JV with them or stipulate your offer on their chat. So you go, cool, okay. If you think it's going to be a 12 million GDV site, I tell you what, I'll pay you more for your site if I hit that value, and call them out on it. And if they go, oh no, I don't want that, we'd be like, exactly, because it's not worth it. That
you just got to give them the 3 months. Like you said, you got to do the follow up because they at the moment they're all excited. This gets offers in, and then when they get 10 offers or 5 offers that are all similar in price, that's when they come to look at the best offer, and it's just painful. But we are where we are.
How about you, Stu? How's swimming?
Swimming's good, mate. Yeah, I've been started some freshwater swimming down at our local lake, which I've lived like less than 10 minutes from pretty much my whole life, and now I'm moving 25 minutes away from it, which is going to be worth the drive. But yeah, it's good. It's fresh, man. It's down there for 6 o'clock. You're done by 20 to 7, and then you're back in the shower, back at home by 7 o'clock, ready to crack on. So and some of the local, it's a real nice atmosphere down there. There's a load of nice people. Some of the older guys that are down there, they've been doing it for 3 or 4 winters, and they said, like, you just got to persevere and keep going through the winter. And you're meant to do like every degree of water temperature, you do about 100 meters. So, it's 3 or 4 degrees down there. You're in that in sort of 10, 15 minutes because you don't want to get hypothermia. But apparently you get out in the middle of winter and it's just like you're electric, like you feel invincible. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm also head of socials at my business as well. So I'm on a social this afternoon.
Sorry, head of socials.
Head of
Is that,
socials.
have you
So
come
my
up with?
head-
Yeah,
yeah,
you
so
come up
office
with that
guy.
title, yeah.
Yeah, it's head of socials and good times. So I'm off to Sandown with Fiducian, one of our lenders, who was just taking us out on a jolly. They do it every year. Jack normally comes, so I was looking forward to catching him up with him in person, but he's off swinging clubs with his local lot with Searchland, and I use Nimbus, so there's no way I'm getting an invite for that one. So yeah, no, it's all good, mate. Yeah, I've had a few key members off the last literally 10 days. Someone signed off like 3 key people, so I've been just running around like a nutter for a week and a half. But everyone's back now. First day back today, so yeah, it should be good. How's your week going?
Me, good, mate. Good. I was just going to ask about Megan because it's Megan. How's she getting on? Because she leaves soon,
Yeah, she's
right?
good. She's been away for like 10 days. Yeah, she celebrated her 30th in Portugal with some family members and bits and bobs. So she's back today. But yeah, she's basically doing the job of 3 people. Oh, I spent some time with Robbie yesterday. Shout out to Robbie. He's a massive listener to this. He absolutely loves it. He doesn't miss one. I think he signed up to do a bit of time with Jack. He was saying, Robbie's. Do you know him outside of this, or did he just?
No, he just like voice messaged me on Instagram. We've been back and forth for ages, and then yeah, he's a good lad, really good lad.
It's so good that people feel like he obviously knows Ryan and I quite well from our ski trip, and he feels like because you don't do any contracted work, He's like, I said, oh, so why did you sign up with Jack just out of interest? He said, because he's running the same path. I don't want to get involved with builders. I want to get involved with actually being on the ground. I want to just sub it all out, contract it, and I feel like it would be good to spend some time with him. So I was like,
Yeah, he's mainly looking at flipping, which obviously we do like four in average a year. And it's, you know, I don't really, he's much more obviously more involved. I think he's like looking to how to get a bit more scale out of that. So yeah, he's a good lad. Good lad.
his granddad lives in Reading. He said, look, if you've got a time, I know you're busy, I'd love to meet you for a coffee. I had a meeting cancel and I had like this hour and a half slot. And I said, well, I've got to do this little video for our local letting agent at the bank. Why don't you come down and we'll have a coffee? And then as I was talking to him, he's like, I really want to get into the bigger stuff, but I'm really just, doing smaller sites, little turnovers. He's done a few new build sites. And so I was like, right, jump in the car, straight order shot, showed him 3 HMOs. I'm like, you need to be focused on these, mate. If you want to get cash flow, this is the way to go. And it was good. It was nice to spend some time with him. Apart from that, mate, I'm just looking forward to getting moved now. I've been setting up a Lombard loan. Flipping hell, that is quite stressful. So a Lombard facility is where you basically put an asset into something, whatever asset it is, they lend you money against it. The asset goes up or down. If it goes up, you can borrow more on that facility over time. And if it goes down, you get liquidated, you get margin called, and you get a certain amount of time to either top up the account. And it's all done in the fiat you operate in. So I had to make a choice between, do I want to borrow Swiss franc or euros? 6% for Swiss franc, but 8% for euros. And they don't do it in pound sterling. You then got a forex it, change it into pound sterling, blah, blah, blah. But obviously looking at the currencies, you have to know a little bit about forex. So you have to know that Swiss franc is a stronger currency denominator than in euros. So even though you're paying 8% on euros, if you're going to keep the money for 5, 6, 10 years over that period of time, even though you're paying less on the interest rates in Swiss, it's probably better to do it in euros. And it's just, having the bollocks to do it, because this is big boy stuff on the basis that you can effectively lose double the amount. They wanted to start on a 40% loan to value. So for the amount of Bitcoin I put in, I had to put in 60% and they'll lend me the 40%, 100%, they'll lend me 40% of it. And I've managed to get them to 50-50 just to give myself a little bit more flexibility. But the pros and cons mean that I'm actually I'm not in control of my Bitcoin anymore, which the Bitcoin maximist will keep control of your coins, make sure no one can spend it. This is a regulated European bank. The fact they're not going to steal a few Bitcoin from me, and they're doing that, the world's ended anyway. But it also means that I'm giving custodial permission to them, which I still get a full account. So I'm not trading it on and paying capital gains. I'm taking debt out against it. And then I'll be able to, if it goes the way I'm totally believing it's going to go, if it's going up 30 to 50% year on year, and I'm borrowing at 8%, effectively I never have to pay the loan off, because as billionaires do it, they refinance their assets they already own. They borrow debt against it, which is tax-free. And over time, the debt, the asset increases in value, the debts remain static, and then you can just borrow more against it. So if it goes the way I totally believe it's going to, I should never have to pay this loan off, and in 4 years' time, borrow another 100 grand off it, another 100 grand off it, 100 grand off it, and live happy ever after. That's the plan. But yeah, it's big boy stuff.
And you're using a superior asset class to borrow against that in an inferior, not even asset class, an inferior currency that's depreciating in value. So it's just a win-win, isn't it? Go on, get your book on it. Get your book out.
There's a book, a very good book, which I read a few years ago. Right, there's that one, which is not the book I was looking for. That's an amazing book.
Got to see some more.
No, I've got another one. Here.
Where
So
do
when
you
you
sit
read
when
this
you, where
book-
do you sit when you read these books? How do
I
you
sit.
know-
Well, this is a lot of this reading was done before having 2 kids, and now it's almost impossible. But when I read this book, this made me think, well, if I borrow in the asset, I think in the currency that I think is inevitably is going to die, because when you realise that Greece owe Italy shitloads of money, and Italy owe Spain shitloads of money, and Spain owe Greece shitloads of money, when you realise the thing you're trying to borrow is going to zero, and you own the thing that's going to infinite, you leverage against it.
Amen, sister.
You need one of those. You need one of those sliding ladders for that bookshelf, I reckon, and a set of little tiny glasses that sit on the end of your nose, and then you'll be off.
Very, very good book, The Philosophy of Money. In fact, that's my second. That's one's not been read because I got that as a gift for someone that I never actually gave him as a gift, because it's
Do you know what I reckon would be a fun exercise? Is, you know, where you do your open water swimming. If you worked out the net value of Bitcoin in that river at the moment, and then in a year's time, the influence of Stu turning up the Bitcoin in the lake. No, you can just imagine it, can't you? You're just like, morning, did I tell you about Bitcoin?
It's great, Stu. Fucking love it, mate. I like the idea of the Lombard facility, because that is where it's going. That's where stuff's going. All the Bitcoin is just going to borrow in the fiat and take over the world. Let's go.
swimming cap, goggles. I got the lot, mate.
Those
Good stuff.
goggles are
It's like
serious.
my missus. You get this little band, right? You just check in, check out. It's like 80 quid. You get like 11 swims. Yeah, they're proper serious, mate. Got the swimming nostril thing. Like the missus said, I get obsessed. Like whether it's flying, I just buy everything. I'll learn to fly, tick it off, done. And then it's property development. Get obsessed, do it, and now it's swimming. So it's the next thing. I'm just like, and then Bitcoin, obviously, totally. It's the ADHD and the fucking autism.
Are you into
sort.
Bitcoin? Are you? Didn't know that.
I do. Don't mind that. I'm partial.
Can
to
you
it.
can you
Just a
put on
bit
all
like-
your kit and show us what it looks like?
I will. I'll send you a picture. But I have got this dry robe, which is again brand new
Mate,
bag.
How much?
new
How
dry
much
robe.
was that? How much was that bag?
I haven't even got it out yet. It's just brand new. It's just there for the winter for if I'm still swimming by then.
All that bag. RRP.
More than 300, less than 500. It's cost me about £125 a swim at the moment. So yeah, it's not the cheapest sport, but it'll dilute over time as long as I keep it up and don't get bored of it.
Great start to the episode, guys. Fucking brilliant. I'll do a little touch on this week as well because I've had an interesting one in terms of hiring. So we're hiring just all the time, and I need to be careful really because of obviously increasing overheads rapidly. But our sales and our revenues are increasing rapidly. But it's just that balance of being careful. When you're scaling, it can ebb and flow a little bit, and obviously we're bringing up overheads, forward funding overheads, so that we don't hit a serious bottleneck at any point. But I'm managing that. I'm taking a couple risks there, like you have to. If you want to scale, I feel like the safer way to do it is to think of the strategic hires, start to warm people up and at least get them trained up and bring them in at the crucial time before it starts to create issues. Because I've done it before where we stayed too lean for too long and then you have these bottlenecks and then you can have clients that start getting disappointed because you're not resourcing things well enough. So trying to preempt that just means we're taking slight risks on cash flow. We're in a good position at the moment, but obviously that requires each month to remain robust. So that's the risk, but I'm very confident in what we have to offer. It's only getting more and more busy for us literally every week. And an interesting anecdote on hiring. So went to market and went to find a sales rep and asked around and obviously did all that stuff, but needed to find the right person, sort of at thinking initially at sort of an entry level, and we'll train them up to not really be in sales, but more of a consultant. We don't really sell. We kind of we have clients will speak to us. They've seen all of the information before they'll get on the call, and then it's more of a consultation, just asking questions, answering questions, and saying, "Look, Mr. Client, as and when you're ready, just let us know." So I didn't need like a dogged salesman. These aren't cold calls and things like that. So we had this guy, spent about a month with him on Zoom calls and things like that, like training him up, teaching him all this stuff, and we just weren't sure. And we tried quite a few other guys as well, and this guy seemed to be the best one, but it was still a bit iffy. Then bought him over from Spain, and he came over here last week to do a deep dive with the whole team, running through the business, show him everything, do in-person role play, all that kind of stuff, to see if he could really cut the mustard. End of the week was still not massively impressed. I was just like, I don't know, like, are we gonna tie ourselves down here for like 2-3 months of training and like potential disappointment to then, it could be really expensive for anyone out there who's not employed sales staff before, or in that capacity. It can cost you a lot of money because you can waste leads. You can burn loads of time on training. And in that time where you're trying to meet sales capacity, you're upping your marketing spend, you're then not realizing the new volume of leads you need. And it can cost a lot of money really quick. So what I was going to do is speak to some existing clients that we've had, long years and years of rapport with, and get them to do dummy calls with him. Essentially, so he wouldn't know that he was on call to like a fake client, but it was just so that I could see how he would actually respond in a real life scenario. So I called one of our early clients who became a very good friend of mine, and we've been friends for a long time. And he's still invested in many projects with us. So I called him up and said, can you do this for me? And he was like, yeah, sweet, no problem. And then he called me up the next day and went, mate, I'm not being funny, I'd love to do this for you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, mate, I'll come and do it. I want to work with you. Like, I want to be a part of the team. And I was like, fuck off. Shut up. That is amazing. So I've just spent this whole month of like burning lots of time, lots of kind of like frustrations. Like, is this going to be right? We're spending lots of time here, all this kind of stuff. And then literally, and Matt said the analogy perfectly. It's like we were test driving a Kia and we walked out with a Rolls Royce. There's a little analogy for you, Jack, that you'll like, little car analogy. And this guy coming straight away within 2 days, dropped him onto onto some calls because he knows everything already. He's raised tens of millions before, like he knows what he's doing, and he's already closing clients like pretty much instantly. So I'm like, wow, that's like such a good example of what can happen if you hire right, just have the right person rather than trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So thought that'd be a good little anecdote. And then one other one was my little brothers finished college and they've had a mate whilst they've been at that college. And when I first met this friend, this is a kid who's like really outgoing. And bear in mind, kids these days, like there's a lot of introversy and like a lot of timidness around, kids of that sort of age. But this guy's always been larger than life. Stuart, he's like you, but younger and ginger. And he's just able to speak with people. He's a little bit ginger. Sorry,
Yeah.
mate. Sorry. Just finished college, have you?
Written me off there, mate.
You got any dry roads for someone at 6'11", please?
Fucking hell. But this guy, yeah.
So
So
I get student discount.
So when I first met him, when the boys started college there, and he came around the house, and I was like, "Is this one of your new mates?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I met him, shook hands with him, chatted, and when he left, I said to my little brothers, I was like, "Keep an eye on him because he's gonna be a weapon to have around. Like he'll be a good friend, and one day we'll pitch him on the business and see where he's at." And over time, obviously, I've got to know him and got to know the boys, and he was about to go to uni. I'm sure he won't mind me saying this. He was going to go do law, and I was like, "Mate, just that is going to be such a waste of your potential. Like, do not go and study law." Like, I didn't say that to him, but I heard it and went, no, we need him in the business. So I spoke to the team, spoke to Vicky, and was like, we need to create a role here because we need to bring this guy in on an apprenticeship initially, grow him and nurture him within the business because that is a weapon to have in like 2-3 years time. Managed to wing him round very quickly. And he's going to join the business in September 1st and not go to uni. And I think it's going to be great for him. It's a great future for him. So, it's been quite a good week.
I was going to go to Bournemouth Uni to do my architectural degree, and then my cousin's boss at the time was desperate for an architect and said, "Look, don't go to uni. Take a gap year out. Just try it. See if you like the industry, and come and live in my pocket." And that was it. And once you start earning money, you never really go back.
Exactly, mate. Real world experience all day long. All day long. But yeah, that's me, mate. Good week.
Just a detailed question. So whenever we have any member of our team leave, if there's not like if there's a handover or not, for people to train, I get them to record. I get them to do all the training on Zoom, even if they're in person, and I get them to record that. So the title will be how to find land, and then you record the training, and then that training sits in our bank so that eventually we don't have to. People can just watch video back to back to train on their role.
Yeah, we got lots of Loom video recordings and like training on the CRM, training on like common questions and like all that kind of stuff. But it is there's a way with our type of sales that there's just a way to do it, and I feel like you just need to have that. You need to be unpredictable and paint those scenarios where you ask hard questions and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Objection handling.
Objection handling. But anyway, that's a good little wrap up of the week, guys. I don't think did we mention Dorian's not here? Yeah, Dorian's not here today.
I've got a question. Why isn't Dorian here?
I can't remember.
That wasn't actually my question. He's closing some money, is what he's closing. My actual question is, what is a docket?
The docket. It's like the like script for the podcast. What's another way of saying it? Like the plan. It's the it's the docket. We go to the docket, see what we've got. Itinerary. It's an itinerary, Jack. Don't worry. Maybe it's an American saying. Sorry, but here we go. Docket time. Paddle. Going mental in the UK.
Still not played it. There's no paddle courts. There's where we're moving to. Farnham, the David Lloyd have just put in like 6, I think. So I will be playing. I've got some friends who are up for it, but they're finishing them now.
Mate, that hairband that you own is going to get some serious use once you get on those courts. You watch. He's gonna drop another $500,000. He's gonna drop $500,000 on paddle kit.
You'll love it, Stu. You're gonna fucking love paddle, mate. Like as long as you go, like have like a good select people to go with, it is sick. But yeah, so there's paddle courts getting knocked up all around the country, and one of you guys actually dropped this in the chat. I think might have been Dorian. There's a lady on Facebook. They're looking for land, and I've heard this actually from a client who's coming through, and he builds the paddle courts, and he's always looking for land as well. So it's quite fascinating. I thought I'd just look at some stats because paddle's clearly a growing sport, and it's not something people talk about a lot. About what's the growth rate of sports. So if we just look at paddle, and just another little anecdote. I grew up in Spain, and in Spain, paddle's a big thing. Like there's paddle courts everywhere. It's never been a thing in the UK. Tennis is a thing here, but not really paddle. So let's look at this. Yeah, court growth, right? UK paddle infrastructure and participation. There were 710 paddle courts in the UK by the end of 2024, up from 187 in 2021, which is a 56% compounded annual growth rate, which is mad for like the growth in a sport. And it's going to rise, well, it has risen already to 900 courts in 2025, and I'm sure it will surpass 1,000 by next year. And the active adult and junior participants exceeded 400,000 people in 2024, compared to 129,000 the year before in 2023, and 15,000 in pre-COVID levels 2019. So it's kind of mad to see this sport just take off. And obviously we play loads as a family and as a business. Like we always mingle around. We do it every Wednesday and try and play Sundays or Thursdays as well. And in the south, I'm seeing them get knocked up in London. I'm pretty sure Stormzy has just opened one and backed one in Barron's Court. So yeah, mate, bit of a craze going on. What's it like around your ends? Because around your ends, land's a lot more expensive. So I don't think you're budding.
Unless you're in London or inside London, there is no. Well, I don't know. I think there's one in. All anyone knows, one in Canary Wharf, isn't there? That's quite expensive to play on. Someone was telling me the other day, an investor. And then there's the one in Ealing.
There's a few around the home counties. I mean, it's in a free market, isn't it? It'll push if it keeps growing. There'll be a franchise where they pick up parcels of land and keep knocking them out.
There's already a franchise called Pure Paddle, I think it is. Pure Paddle.
I mean, it's interesting because this is also driving up the value of industrial buildings. Like you kind of have those phases, right? Like back when we were growing up, industrial buildings were probably Laser Quest. This is just the new phase of Laser Quest. Like I feel like a lot of things just go through like phasing. Like as an example, if you looked at the growth of like Cafe Nero 5 years ago, it was probably the biggest in the market. If you look at the growth of Gales, it's the biggest in the market. So it's almost this like forever going trend where people always want to try and do the new thing, and then after a few years it fizzles out and it's just a coffee shop then. So interestingly, obviously this is a massive blow in terms of like what people are up to, and I feel that
it's still tiny. So you got 710 minus 187. So that's 523 courts divided by 3, because I think I've been told you can get 3 paddle courts to 1 tennis court. There's only 174 tennis courts worth of space, which is not, in terms of the size of the UK, it's tiny.
great little business model.
Is they inside or outside? I've seen one that's near
Do both.
What ball's better to play? Like squash facility outside.
Yeah, I mean, you say outside in the middle of the winter, is it?
Yeah, that's the problem in winter. I mean, we did play in January, February, March outside, but if it's raining, obviously you're a little bit screwed. So you got to try and hope, like plan around the weather a bit. But the thing about inside with paddle is you're constantly with paddle, you're constantly twisting and turning and moving around because you're hitting it off the walls and stuff. And when you're inside, I've got bad eyes, and when I can see the ball moving with like steel girders and like all this detail in the background and the fences and the walls, I get a bit disorientated, and I'm like, my eyes just won't adjust to it. Whereas outside, nice clear blue sky, I feel like it's much easier to play.
Is it a tennis ball you play with?
It's actually a softer tennis ball. It's not as compacted as a tennis ball because it needs to like be a bit softer when it bounces off the walls. But mate, you're gonna love it. If you've not played it, mate, you're gonna fucking love it.
Oh, I was with one of my investors. He come to the bank and he was going to. He was saying that's it. So he was going to Canary Wharf to play one of his customers, and he pulled out like this super lightweight, almost like carbon fiber, like 400 quid racket. Was like, yeah,
Make sure you get the link because that'll be the one you want to buy.
a lovely guy, and I'll definitely go for him for advice. Yeah.
Don't cut the corners on it. You got to get the most expensive one. It kind of reminds me. My school had a real tennis court. See, does anyone know what that is? Henry VIII used to play real tennis. And obviously it's back from that era. Tennis actually came from real tennis. It's an actual sport. It was around before tennis. Yeah, and it's called real tennis, and it's basically
real?
indoors. REAL. Like but anyway, it's an
Whenever
indoor.
you grew up,
We actually had the real tennis Olympic. It might have even been it was a championship while we were there. I went to the school I went to was very, very sporty. You could pretty much do anything.
It's an old money thing. Yeah.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, Google real tennis court, like Henry VIII real tennis court. But paddle's similar to that. It's kind of an enclosed, and there's walls to deal with, and where it drops. In actual fact, in real tennis, where it drops, it scores differently. Very interesting.
There you
It's like
go.
we
That's,
always, it's like
wait, so
fashion. We
did
recycle fashion.
paddle?
I think tennis came from real tennis, and I think paddle is a variation of tennis. There's actually another game which Americans call pickleball, which is very similar.
That's also blown up in America.
So I think paddle came from pickleball, and I think English people thought, why is it called pickleball? Let's think of a new name. And paddle isn't much better.
Racket. Use a paddle. Is it a paddle racket or just a paddle? Or paddle board? Paddle racket.
Not a board. Board would make me think I'm going swimming.
Board, yeah, or going to Wix.
Fucking hell. All right, well, there's the paddle part of this. I think that was 10 minutes on paddle. That was meant to be like a really quick snippet, but there you go. Paddle growing in the UK. Now let's get on to some real shit with back to property. So anyone who's anyone in the property space, I'm sure has seen this so far. But we're going to dig through some details here on the new AI tooling that's coming to our planning officers in spring of 2026. This is very exciting. So let me just hash through some of the detail here. I'm going to be doing a bit of reading just so we're all clear on the high level information, and then let's open this up to a bit of discussion because we've spoke about AI before in government. Right. So the PM, Keir Starmer, unveils AI breakthrough to slash planning delays and help build 1.5 million homes. Planning permissions will be sped up as the government rolls out a new AI tool which can scan hundreds of files in seconds, making it easier to make home improvements while turbocharging the plan for change milestone to build 1.5 million homes. Couple highlights. So Extract, which is the name of the tooling. So Extract is the name of the tool. And that's set to digitize planning documents and bring in England's outdated planning system into the 21st century. Breakthrough AI tool to be made available to all councils by spring 2026 using Google DeepMind's Gemini model. So Google DeepMind's Gemini model is their self-learning like AI architecture. You can imagine it like that. That's like the best of the best that's been built in the world, really. Google DeepMind. That's where AlphaFold came from, and all these other breakthroughs in science. And they're now using that same model to aim that at other problems and tasks. And it's great to see that government is adopting private sector technology that's obviously transforming the private sector and adopting that into public sector services like planning. The upside of improving planning could be big for the economy. So I'm actually, pleasantly surprised that Labour have brought this in. So Google DeepMind has created Extract, which is a tooling that will be used so that planning officers can expedite the planning process. Go into a little bit more detail here. So for the first time, this cutting-edge technology will help councils convert decades-old handwritten planning documents and maps into data in minutes, and will power new types of planning software to slash the 250,000 estimated hours spent by planning officers each year manually checking these documents. This will dramatically reduce delays and have long plagued the planning system, and that you guys would have heard us bitch about on this podcast many times. Couple more stats. Around 350,000 planning applications are submitted a year in England, yet the system remains heavily reliant on paper documents, some hundreds of pages long. Once submitted, each of these documents needs to be manually validated and approved by a planning officer. In the test trials across Hillingdon, Nuneaton, and Bedford and Exeter councils, Extract digitized planning records, including maps, in just 3 minutes, each compared to the 1 to 2 hours it typically takes manually. This means Extract could process around 100 planning records a day, significantly speeding up the process. So, mega, really. 250,000
Huge.
man hours a year.
I just really hope they have a good training process internally for all of the planning officers and people using it at the other end. But I love it. I think it's the way the world needs to go. I think it's fairly cutting edge for the government to be thinking of it this soon. I think it's great. I mean, we will have to dig out the episode where we actually talked about planning changes that we could make to improve things. And one of our ideas that we collectively came up and were talking about was simple one. When you're doing a domestic homeowner loft extension, you should just tick a few boxes, see if one's been approved locally on this AI platform, and if it has, tick, you just crack on and get on with it. Or a loft is typically under PD, but if you're doing something that people have done and will continue doing, and you don't really need a person to review that, then just get it accepted and get it moving forward. It's almost like It's a prime example. Our quotation tool on our surveying website, if we have all the information that we can extrapolate from the internet, so whether that be ordnance survey, government detail, EPC data, title, land registry, we can give you a quote immediately. If we can't give you a quote immediately, it then goes manual. So only 5% of our quoting actually goes to a person to be manually managed. And that's our AI process that we have in. So I think it's great. I think it's good steps. I like it.
It's also a clear sign of what the government could really do when political incentives aligns with what the people actually want. So there's obviously a huge political push to meet the 1.5 million homes target, and it's only now where they go, yeah, well, let's put some AI in there then. And then we can meet our target. And it's just, there's really obvious things that we could pick out within building control regulation, within planning, all kinds of stuff within the tax code. So much AI could be leveraged to speed up loads of these bureaucratic processes that help all of us in the private sector. It's just, it takes political alignment for them to actually have the bottle to do it. And it's just a shame it's taken this long, because this could have happened years and years and years ago. But I agree with you, Jack. I think that the training process there to make sure that's robust, otherwise it could cause issues. And if there's big issues caused, then there'll be some stigma around using AI in planning, and that's just not what we want. It should all be positive and steps forwards.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I think it's definitely what the UK needs. Just trying to flip on both sides. There is some pros and cons. Obviously, yeah, you touched on the one that if they do fuck it up and everyone loses faith in it, then we could go back 10 years because they'll go, oh, we tried that, it didn't work. But I mean, imagine how quick they could literally do it. Like the decision-making process, it goes into one silo. It's either true or false, or it's a 0 and a 1, and it'd be amazing. But I don't know if it's going to get around the political part. Yes, it means that they'll be able to make more decisions per week, but I still think that the local NIMBYism and the council and I mean, if you could get rid of the political opinion of each application and it's either black or white, then it would be amazing. But on the flip side of that, that means that so many applications would be going through. That does it sort of mean that yes, they want everyone to build more, but then does it mean the house prices don't go up as much? And what does that have? Can they control the speed now based on how complicated they make it? But I mean, they can do it can work 24/7. Literally, you're creating an 8-hour job, making it 3 times faster. Plus, you're putting a computer there to make the decision. It could almost be instant, and it would be so nice to take out the fucking human error bit, because the bit that slows you down is you're trying to spend 2 weeks trying to explain to a planning officer what a fucking report actually means, and they read it wrong, they make an opinion, and then you're fighting them for 2 weeks to try and read it a different way. All that stuff would be great to remove. So just don't fuck it up. Don't try and rush it too quick. Just make it do the householder applications and make it work really well. Like Jack said, make it do loft conversions within 3-4 days, or within 5 days you get your application approved or your PD approved. And if it ticks the box, great. And then just build on it. Don't try and take on the world, because it's like trying to build a system and a business. If you try and take the whole thing on in one go, it's gonna have cracks everywhere and it will just fall apart.
I've got one other concern. I've got one other concern about it, yeah. And my only other concern, and this maybe won't happen, maybe will. It's going to be made a lot easier, which hopefully gets rid of subjectivity when they're analyzing the documents in a planning case. But it is going to also alleviate time for the planning officers to speculate as well, because they're going to get all the hard work and the heavy lifting done by automatically. Then the speculation's left to kind of be free reign to go, okay, so that's the plan here. What do we think about this though? Do you think that's right for that area? Or here's some NIMBYism that's come back. It maybe kind of alleviates pressure on delivery. Therefore, they've got more free time to speculate and become almost more politically minded. I don't know if they're going to have to put things in there to make sure that targets are still met and adhered to, and that working hours are spent productively, rather than speculating on the use case and speculating on the idea of doing this kind of whatever the project is, of getting the planning passed, compared to just doing the work and actually making sure that it adheres to the national planning framework.
Take the technical part out of the way, get the technical part ticked off in terms of B&G and all the rest of the shit that's got to be done, the ecological stuff, the bats, or get all the surveys done, get all that ticked off, that ticks all the boxes, and then just deal with what does it look like? Who's it affecting?
It'd be interesting, man. I mean, I suppose there's not too much we can really hash out here until we know and see what it looks like. It'd be great if we could get Dermot on again, who we had before, the planning consultant that we had on a previous episode. Maybe get him on to see what he thinks at some point once there's more known about the actual tool and how they're going to use it. But all I know so far is it's going to be the planning officer will have this AI assistant that they plug into, upload all the documents. It's going to spit out all of its high-level response and recommendations, and then they can use that tooling to just crack on and get to work straight away. Hopefully, that's what they do, and don't just use that free time they'll have to sit on their laurels, which is another. So there needs to be good incentives there to make sure that they're actually still working hard and getting stuff done.
I mean, if you think about this tool, if you put in your postcode and the house I'm sat in right now is on an estate with 50 houses, yeah. So there's a house type. So there's, let's say 6 house types, and some of them have already gone to planning and done various different things. Imagine if you could click in your postcode, go on the planning portal and say, I want to submit a planning application. And then it brings up your house type and you select which one's yours, which is the relevant house. And then it shows you what everyone else did that's got the same house type as you in planning already. Because we've had people that done rear extensions, side extensions, loft conversions, convert their garage to resi, get like living accommodation. And then you could just click, yeah, I want to do that. And then the system looks at the application and any potential, things that happened in that process, what they needed. It comes back and says, you need to do this, this, and this. Or if it goes, yep, all fine, you need PD, and you click a button, green light, crack on with your work. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And also, if you were looking at new build and ground up, you could look at the 150 house types that have already been approved in that area, in that 3.5 kilometer radius of that site, and you could choose a style that you could take a style as a sub base and then just build and bolt onto it. I mean, we're going out a few years, I reckon, but I mean, land's scarce, right? So it is, well, they say it's scarce. It's 97% hasn't been built or something, isn't it, in the UK? So there's plenty of legs.
Yeah, mate. I mean, using AI, man, like I think I said on the last episode, we've just contracted an AI guy or a software integration specialist to come into the business and hash through all of our softwares and our processes and find quick ways to do things. He's just finished the first project he's done for us, and I can show you guys at some point if you want. And it is a game changer, and we've brought it into the acquisitions division, so that essentially we've set up this thing so that every night it scrapes all new listings that come on within our criteria. And then it drops in all the information, everything we need from the contacts for the agent, average sold price in the area, the purchase price, the property link, all that kind of stuff, whether it's auction, not auction, the terms and all that, into a CRM, literally top down, ranked by value, so that then the boys can just go through really quickly in the morning, high level. It either progresses to the next stage, doesn't progress to the next stage, quick appraisal, booking a viewing, etc. But it's all dropped in super, super quick and efficient. And we can add new maps to the tooling and just add a link. And then it's going to scrape that next batch each day. So I'm seeing the benefits of just bringing in automation at these different points. And fuck me, that's going to save like hundreds of hours a month, like hundreds of hours of like all the manual looking and searching around for the right things. This thing now just does it automatically every morning. Just here's another 20 to look at. Here's another 20 to look at. So there's so much you can leverage here.
In 2010, when we were setting up my previous building firm, we built a bit of code that scraped all the applications online, which was like quite a good thing to do at the time, because it was quite a new way of using data. But we were scraping all the websites, all the councils we wanted to work for with keywords, and then building it into a spreadsheet. And then every week we were then sending letters out to people to try and get the phone to ring. So there's ways you can use data manually, but yeah, if you can use AI for that, it'd be amazing. And then you might as well have an AI bot talk to them and send out letters, follow up.
That's exactly what we're doing next. So the next project is to build a sales assistant. And then I've listed loads of projects like for this guy to do. So he's just got loads of things to tackle. And it's just game changing, man. It's just like it's like 5% improvements to each like department as we bring this in, which over the course of the year, I'm excited to see what our processes look like in a year's time as we roll in all this kind of stuff. So super exciting. Any business owners out there, can I throw another one at you guys? Yeah, this is going to sound pretty mental, yeah, but I had an epiphany this week, yeah, for modern marketing and where I think it might go with AI. See what you think of this. This might sound a little bit nuts, and I know sometimes I say things that do sound a bit nuts, but this one is quite far afield. So have you guys seen these new like AI renderings that have been coming out on Instagram? But there's one of Genghis Khan.
I've seen these.
Yeah.
Craze histories. Yeah, it's like selfie mode. Like, yeah, it's meant. Have you seen the Trump and Elon one? Oh, it's so good.
to them. Like, so I said for the viewers, just in case I've not watched it. So there's like this AI rendering, so an AI video, and they could be like 30 seconds long, 60 seconds long. And it's Genghis Khan as if he's vlogging himself back in the day, pillaging millions and millions of people. And he's like, yeah, bro, just completely KO'd this whole town. Look at it. And it's like, it's almost photorealistic. And it's really funny and it's entertaining to watch. And I was like, that's interesting, you know, because the cost of doing it is super cheap and it's marketing. If Genghis Khan was selling a product, that's quite a good way for him to get attention on him. So then I was thinking, I was going, okay, thinking of Beaumont and Partners and a bit of Ground Up as well, but particularly with Beaumont and Partners, where I vlog every week and people get to know the characters in the business and stuff like that. And I was like, for any business, for any sector, any industry, right? I think there's an opportunity here to essentially create a sitcom, taking our characters from Bow Partners. We've got thinking of people like Kane and Jeff, our builder on site, who's like this grumpy old Geordie, like, "Oi lad, fuck off! Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." Like he's this stereotypical, like perfect character, almost like Gerald from Clarkson's Farm. And I'm like, you could create a sitcom with our characters, like still property developers, almost the same likeness of all of us and what we're like, but put into a sitcom scenario where it's all just drama and fake. And we'd, you know, render it in more of a CGI graphic rather than photorealism so you can tell it's different. But then create a sitcom around the stereotypes and the things that people would find relatable and funny within our sector so that you can almost position your brand as this entertainment kind of brand at the top of your sector, so in property as a media. And then that's like representative of actually the real life version. So you'd see the real vlog and the real people like performing the real task, growing the business, and then kind of like this side by side sitcom show that then plays in and leans into like, you know, more dramatic like experiences and scenes and visuals and things that go on, and like there might be a building control visit that goes sideways or all kinds of shit that you could paint, or dodgy training course gurus. And you could like and it's so scalable. I'd only need like 2 people, I think, to run it. And I've already spoke to a few editor guys that I know are playing around with this software. And I'm like, I've got an idea here. And I think each sector, property, finance, you know, think of any sector, could have like there could be a brand that leads like almost like a TV show format. Not necessarily an hour long. It might be split into short snippets, all this stuff that's relatable, but with the likeness of the brand, so that it's then representing your brand and growing your brand as well. And it's super scalable because it's like it's almost a click of buttons. You just need a few staff to help do a bit of script writing and make sure that the edits are coming out the way you want them. What do you think of that? Because I think that's quite cool.
I'd watch the first episode. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, it sounds like a cartoon basically, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Imagine Stuart as fucking like a South Park character. It'd be sick.
It would be a bit messy, but I mean, it's someone's interpretation of you that's creating that person. Like you're thinking of Kane and what's his name, your builder, so Jeff. You know, the last one you done where he said you could, you're my director, you can't direct traffic. I thought that was hilarious. That when Dorian was up, I was watching that the other day. But yeah, I mean, it's as long as you've got someone who's showing you in the right light, and then you've got like IP issues. I'm thinking, like, you know, we're already talking about photos being used of us online, you know, with permission, without permission, you know, and that comes with a whole new world around it. So there is a load of things to think about. But yeah, in principle, it's fun, right? It's entertainment. Entertainment sells.
But also it's like that. I think it's truly first mover, yeah. Because imagine I could do that like with Bow Partners. Just imagine, or imagine you could do that with Sky Lofts or whatever, and you could become like the entertaining brand that represents your sector by leaning into stereotypes and the things that people would just find funny and relatable. And then like everyone just knows that it's a nice, enjoyable little watch.
It's funny because when I just had Sky Lofts, I was trying to be very much corporate, very much professional. You're spending 80, 100 grand of your hard-earned money. You know, I need it to be regimented and people need to trust us. With SW Homes, I had nothing to lose because it wasn't even meant to be anything. It was meant to be just a little holding company for a few HMOs as a side hustle that, you know, like we've become quite good at it and we want to take bigger risks now because it's just exciting to learn more about, you know, what you're doing. But I could be more free with SW Homes because I don't really care what people think of me. People who want to invest with us invest because they trust what I'm about, and I like to think I'm an honest, ethical, good person. And so you want to sort of present that. But if you're a business that's doing something a bit more professional, I don't think it would apply. So there is a certain building type, and I think people buy other people, and if they're going to release 200, 300, 500 grand of their money, they're going to want to feel totally safe. And also the other fit for that is if you're going to try and paint on a facade. Already people can lie about who they are, and people lend people a load of money, and then they pull the plug or go bust, or actually it was a big fake opinion, of a big fake facade of them anyway. So I think painting on AI on top of them and people not actually knowing what's real and what's not could exaggerate that and magnify it even worse.
What I said to the guys when I was sort of like throwing this idea around, I was like, it'd have to be a really clear distinguishment between like what's real and what's not. And I think that's easily overcome if you just make sure it remains a CGI graphic compared to like a photorealistic graphic.
That should become effectively law, because eventually, over time, you're not going to know what you're watching is real or not. And then if you've got people saying bad stuff, I totally love where it's going, and I'm all for it. But I'm just constantly, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking about what are my kids going to know it to be real and what's not. And if they're starting to watch stuff and they're getting brainwashed like I am with Bitcoin, and brainwashed with other things in life, then it could turn really bad, because then you get civil wars and shit. So who knows?
Whoa, went from sitcom to civil wars.
But that's the upper end of the spectrum, right? It starts with a bit of light entertainment, but then someone will exaggerate what you're doing and make it to make it politically, empowering, and then it goes the other way.
So just like checking in on like Ryan's concept though, is like Ricky Gervais talks about like humor, and how you could be watching a stand-up artist, right? And he could be saying gags line after line after line, but they're never as funny as if you're in a situation with your mate who you know so well, and then just one facial expression can send you both off. And the value of the relatability of being able to create cartoons of like yourself, or potentially like the people that tune in and watch, for an example, Robbie, he was saying to me he's got like he's written down like a few of the things that we've said over time that he absolutely loves, and it's where like we've made a joke between each other, and the people that are following us love that. They get so engaged with that. So I also talking about how you can like cartoon, the production of cartooning yourself is becoming a lot easier, but also I think actually probably more valuable, because it's going to be anyone can do it, and therefore, are we eventually going to be in a world where everyone's just creating their own like cartoons on the same storyline?
That's why I think you have to be the first mover and like have something about you to be the ones that people care about more. And as long as you're entertaining and funny, why would people not prefer you? Because you were the first kind of guys to do it. That nostalgia of watching TV shows like Friends. Friends could come back on again.
Exactly what I was going to say. It gives everyone the ability to create their own friends, their own actual friends storyboard. So that's what is allowing people. But it's not like you have to be a first mover, because you've got all these different YouTube characters that are coming out, and personalities. I mean, that's an infinite pool. And then the technology just allows people to get even more creative. And you could have a property development one, you could have a car one, you can have a finance one. It will all work in different sectors. I just think that different images of different companies will play a part on whether they value it.
Yeah, I think there's something in it, man. There's something scalable about it, like with the marketing side. Like you could grow your brand inadvertently without having to go to set, film a thing, be there yourself, get all your lighting rigs, all your shots, all your editing. Like it's just becoming a really easy transactional thing to do. Just click a few buttons on a screen and edit it, and then but do the scripting and the writing and get a coherent story together. That could be done by like one or two staff members without your time. Like it's nuts, and that could leverage your brand. And there's something in it.
Good luck, mate. Let us know how it goes. Jack's going to golf, and I'm off to the races, so we'll let you crack on with that one, mate, and see how we get on next.
Yeah, can you send a first draft by Monday morning, please?
Yeah, no problem, boys. It's gonna take about a year, I think, but we're doing.
I know exactly what Stuart's character looks like. He's got like Bitcoin t-shirt.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of get my first tattoo, a little Bitcoin here, just so as I get ready every morning and do my hair, I might.
You know how we should get our characters actually made in AI though, is what we should do is, those caricatures that are always sat on the promenades on
yeah.
we should all go and sit and get that drawn first, then submit that to AI to do our.
I think that would be funny, mate. But yeah, anyway, little funky idea there. But let's touch on to the last two things on the docket, or the itinerary, however you want to say it. Crypto. Stu, have you seen this? American Express. It's got so American Express have just announced this. So they have 141 million users and partners on Coinbase, and they're going to launch the One Card with 4% Bitcoin back on all purchases. And I thought I'd just do a little bit of maths here for everyone, just to keep life easy. So if you're spending £1 million and you can get that as Bitcoin back, you can get 40 grand of Bitcoin if you're turning over £1 million that's eligible for for Amex payments. And obviously, if you're doing 10 mil, you get 400 grand, which means your cash back that you're getting in Bitcoin is going into like a stronger asset class. And you could just, in a way, this could be a great way for businesses to start tapping into Bitcoin without having to think about buying it and all that other stuff and investing into it. They're just getting it inadvertently through their spend.
That's definitely only US. That's only US at the moment, though. It's definitely not in the UK. But everything that's happening in the US will come this way eventually. I think Argentina have now made it legal tender Bitcoin. So it's just a stack of cards. One's going, the next one goes. And yeah, totally. I think that Bitcoin won't become the currency everyone's trading. It's the thing everyone wants to hold on to. So yeah, if there's ever means to use fiat or your local currency and to save in a harder currency, totally. My dad bought his first £1,000 this week. I'm so proud of him. It's been taking me 3 years to every dinner. I'm so proud of him. He got through the final questions. He passed his exams. It's that hard when you want to set up a Bitcoin account. And he stuck his first grand on. He sent me a screenshot. I'm very proud of you, Dad. Because it just means he'll just pay attention to it. My brother's into it. My best friends are into it now. The wife is like asking me how's Bitcoin going. This thing is next to us every day. I've got this on my desk every morning. We come down and we can see what's going on with MSTR, a very, very good stock, and Bitcoin. And it's just good. Yeah, people are taking more financial astute with their own money. And if you don't understand what the fundamentals are of the fiat you're working for, what the foundation it's based upon, if you don't actually go and ask that question, more for you. And the longer over time, the more convicted I'm becoming. And I think that you need to spend the time understanding is it worth getting cash back in fiat that's being debased 8%, or can you get some rewards in Bitcoin, which is going up 60% year on
Great
year?
to see these financial institutions and these different products that are out there starting to just swipe and deploy Bitcoin more and more and more and more because the people want it. And it's just taking over gradually, just like getting it infiltrating different parts of the financial sector. But the UK, unfortunately, is making it more and more difficult to hold Bitcoin, which is they need to
I've
reverse.
got an
that
X
course.
account that I set up a few years ago. It's called Stu __ stacking STAKIN and then _SATS. Yeah, STU _ STAKIN _SATS. All I do is repost, and all I've set up is all the followers and notifications of people I follow in the Bitcoin industry. And every single hour, I'm getting a notification saying this company just bought 6,000 Bitcoin. This institute just bought 8,000 Bitcoin. This company just bought 6.5 billion. So as the waves go with QS, there's 450 Bitcoin every single day being produced on the network, and there's like 20,000 being sucked up and hoovered up by ETFs and big institutions and social wealth funds and stuff in UAE. It's just, and every hour I'm thinking this thing is not going down. Yes, there's been cycles where QT and QE allow it to, it goes up crazy when they print a load of money, and when they stop printing money, it's one of the first things to correct. But I just can't see how these companies, they don't need to sell it. And the second one company starts printing their own currency to buy Bitcoin, they're going to win, because they'll just be able to print $1 trillion, buy £1 trillion worth of the hardest asset on to earth, and away we go. It's called game theory. It's going up to 1 million to 10 million. And all you need to buy is like 10 grand's worth. I'm just asking everyone just to focus on buying the first grand, buy your first 500 quid, and then just chip away. Buy the amount of Satoshis you can.
Has Jack bought any? Jack, you on Bitcoin yet? You got any Bitcoin, mate? What you said?
I said I'll buy Bitcoin if Stuart just does me like an idiot's guide of just like how to do it.
I'll sit next to you, mate. You buy a pint, and I'll sit next to you. You just bring your ID, and we'll set up your Swiss ball.
No ID. I swear I'm over 21. All right. Well, let's meet up. I'll start with 500 off the ground.
Yes. We finally got him, Stu.
To do it, I don't want to do it. I'd rather just send the money to you and you put it in somewhere. And
on the Ground Up Network, we need to set up a whole separate section, because a lot of people watch this and they're like, "He's fucking at it again." But trust me, I will prevail. And then we're on the Get Bitcoin on the Ground Up Network. We need a section just on how to set up your Bitcoin account. No financial advice, entertainment purposes only, and all that. I'm not getting sued, but this is how you set up your Bitcoin wallet, and now you buy your first 500 quid. That needs to be a whole 2-hour segment on there that people can tune in and listen to.
With it. I'm with it. And anyone out there, if you're not bought Bitcoin yet, do it, man. We've got Dorian last episode, Jack this episode. It's going down, mate. It's going down.
Dorian on the next one. I know he's been a busy boy trying to close 20 million quid, but that's no excuse to not have bought his first 500 quid Bitcoin. Yeah, so we'll find out next week.
Yes, mate. Let's go on to the last part of the docket, because this is relevant for all of us as well. Guys, before I go through this, have you guys seen the EPC change stuff that's coming in?
no. Enlighten us.
I've not done a lot of reading into it, so I'm just going into. I only saw it yesterday. This is all quite new. So let's high level this together then. So, landlords and letting agents face new EPC rules in 2 weeks. So we have spoke about this a bit before on the podcast, how they're splitting the assessment of energy performance with new builds, and then there's retrofits, which they should have done for years because they just blanketed the same kind of methodology for both build types, and obviously that's not fair, particularly when it comes to carbon emissions and stuff like that. So they have done so. So I used ChatGPT to just give us, and I also got ChatGPT to verify all of this stuff. So there's no hallucination here. This is straight from the articles. So what's changed? Updated EPC methodology as of the 15th of June 2025. We're recording this podcast on the 13th of June 2025. So this is just about to come in. Introduction of RD SAP 10, the biggest overhaul in a decade, delivers more accurate usage reflective EPCs, though it may increase assessment costs. So our EPC surveyors have already come to us with this and said it's going to cost us £10 more for an EPC assessment on a typical sort of Victorian terrace. So it's not crazy different at that level. Mandatory valid EPCs for all let properties, residential and commercial. From April 2025, it's illegal to let any residential or commercial property without a valid EPC. So yeah, we know that anyway. The minimum rating you need for now, still only Band E required. Band C deadlines have been officially scrapped, meaning Band E remains the legal minimum for rented homes. But that doesn't mean the forecast has been scrapped. So just bear that in mind. So proposed EPCC by 2030, which is in the consultation stage in government, is to say that all new tenancies must reach a Band C by 2028 and all tenancies from 2030. And we've spoke about this on the podcast before. It's just political rhetoric. It's absolute nonsense. There's no way they could make this happen. They turf out millions of tenants. It would cost over $1 trillion to the private sector. We don't have the trades to do it. It's just not going to happen. We can't upgrade all homes to EPC of a C. But what they could do is relax EPC methodology for retrofitted homes to make it easier to get an EPC of a C. So they can just, it's like what they do with the CPI index to make it look like we've got lower inflation. Just take a couple bits out, and then make it
He
easier.
contradicts the renters reform, because if you can't kick a tenant out, how are you going to do all the changes by 2030?
Oh, you take all the walls out and the flooring out while they're still in there. It's you. It's easy.
From a reduced rent, you'd stick a tent in the garden and just say, "Do you mind just giving us 3 months while we come in here and go back to brick?"
It's just not going to happen. It just won't happen. But I think they're going to make it easier.
It's a mood point. I mean, everything we do. How many have you bought and gone, right, let's leave it EPCE? Everything we buy in all new tenancies and all new landlords, buy a site to improve it. I mean, great idea, by the way, guys. Last week, one of our HMOs were doing. When you buy a HMO and you got a long garden and it's just annoying, right? What you got to do? You got to maintain it. You got to, rip it up, slab it, or put some AstroTurf down. My Sparkies the other day, brilliant. So we designed the L shape, but we've rushed it through from buying it. We're sort of 5 weeks in now. Electrics and plumbing are in, and we're trying to put solar panels on, but the loft and the ridge beam's not been really, because I've tried to push the head height up. It's the smallest HMO I've bought, but we've kept all the sectional depths low to get as much head height, which was my original brief. But because we can't put solar panels on the roof anymore, so we're going to carve the 2/3 of the garden off. We're going to basically weed protect it and then make a fucking solar field. It's perfect, literally. So we're going to lift them off the ground a meter. The whole thing's in the sun all day, and I'm going to create my own power plant, which is great. So when you're a landlord trying to do a good job, trying to run your OPEX costs for zero, why would you not spend 8-10 grand on putting a few batteries in and solar panels and putting this up to an EPC B or an A or whatever you can get anyway?
Yeah.
In the south, I know it's not as easy in the north when you've got
I was gonna
7 grand buildings that
Yeah, it's
not-
harder in the
it's not
north.
worth
just
doing
for
it.
this, man. That is what I fucking hate about the EPC target, that the mandatory target is discriminatory towards geography. Yeah, like if you're in the north, proportionally, I could spend 10-15% to get the solar that I'd need on there against the asset value. Down there, you might be spending 2-3%. It just, so you could pull that out of your mortgage equity nice and easy. You can't up here, so it just doesn't. It doesn't fly. It's never going to happen. It's political rhetoric. That's why it will remain in the consultation stage, I predict, in perpetuity. Is most likely what's going to happen. But let's just touch on the last bits because there's some penalties here as well. So EPC metrics overhaul by 2026. So EPCs will shift to a home energy model, assessing heat retention, heat systems, and smart readiness. The A to G scale may be updated. So why it matters: accuracy and upfront costs. Landlords may see higher EPC assessment costs and more rigorous energy evaluations. Again, our EPC assessors have come to us and said it's an extra 10 quid per EPC. So it doesn't seem crazy at this stage. Compliance essentials: invalid or expired EPCs can lead to £5,000 plus in fines and voided leases. Prepare for the future. Staying ahead of the curve by targeting Band C now may offer long-term savings, grant access, stronger tenant appeal, and bank-friendly ratings. But again, that doesn't account for the nuance of asset values across the country. So that's that on EPCs. I'm not sure how that's going to work with development sites. There's one thing getting an EPC rating for an asset that's already built and is rentable. It's a whole different thing doing SAP calcs from the start on a conversion project, and I'm not sure how it's going to play in there. Hopefully it's easier to get D and C ratings on these new buildings, because it could be a proper chew sometimes.
I do think there needs to be exclusions to some specific properties, because there's some properties which you just cannot upgrade to that. It's a bit like getting Fred Flintstone's car. Another car analogy. Sorry, Dorian, you're missing out on this. Getting Fred Flintstone's car and trying to push it through an MOT in modern day, and them going, well, there's no fucking floor in the car. The wheels are stones. There's no seat belts. There's no flashlights. This isn't going to work. And then you take it into Ford garage and they put a couple of seats in there, put a windshield in there, window wipers, make it all electrics. But you're not allowed to remove the stone wheels because they're listed, right? So the braking's not going to work. So it doesn't really work. Like, you have to have a more bespoke approach than just a blanket. It's the most blanket rule for everything so broad.
That's what they need to change. I love doing this because we can sort of redesign the whole political agenda for the UK. But what they should do is actually give you two. You should be able to do 2 grades up. You should do 2 grades up. So if you're an E, you should try and aim to get a D or C. So where you are in the country means if you've got a shithole, bit like dating, it's going to upgrade 1 or 2 more. Yeah. If you've got a D, if the cutoff is a C and you've got a D, you need to get to a C. If you're an E, you need to move up too. And just so if you're a listed building, no, I think C will be wherever the cutoff means, wherever the threshold needs to be.
My building's a C. What should I do? Yeah, you're right, a C. Don't worry. Just if you're an E, you've got to get up to a C, but just 2 grades up.
Well, no, if you're an E, you should have to get up to a D maybe. So you have to make one improvement, and it should run out when the tenancy runs out, because then you can make a decision whether you actually want to redo the work and relet or sell.
But then you'll get some fake tenancies, won't you? You'll get a tenancy for 50 years.
We'll use AI for that. We'll sort that out with a different product. But the actual moving people in, moving people out, I think they should stay as long as they want to stay because of renters reform. And when they decide to move out, they have to give a minimum of fucking 2 months notice. This crazy, stay for a day and then give you 2 months notice. Then you can make that decision whether you're going to market it and sell it and let it be someone else's problem because it doesn't work commercially for you, or if you're going to relet it, the government will give you. The government could give you 1 month's fucking rent for you to do the work as well. That could be another grant.
With EPCs, that there's a natural free market, like almost regulatory response. Like when it comes to health and safety, that's different. Health and safety, you got to get that right because you could kill people. Like, that's fair enough. You got to get health and safety right. But energy performance, if I build a house that's not very energy efficient, then people ain't going to want to, they're not going to want to rent it for the value I want. And they're not going to want to buy it for the value I want, because the energy markets are going to determine how efficient that property is. I don't need a regulator to tell me what standard I must meet. And I just don't know why EPC has become such a politically hot thing that's causing so many bottlenecks in our costings and all those kind of things for houses. There's natural regulation in the free market. Energy prices will determine the value of your asset if you don't up it.
There's things that a tenant can't do. They can't make they can't take the holes out the wall and fix them. But ultimately, if there's a massive tenant choice, then they can choose where they want to live. But the demand is so tight, they have low opportunity to choose. If they need to live somewhere, they've got to buy your shitty building with holes everywhere that's costing them a fortune to live.
If you think about that logic, and I agree with you, like in terms of quality, that's a different thing, and like in terms of amenity for tenant. But with EPCs and all this other stuff, the more the government gets involved, they try and solve this problem that you're sort of saying there, like what's better for tenants. But then they cause another problem, which is increased asset prices. So then it's harder to get on the housing ladder because now we're all trying to meet EPC A and all this bollocks. So it's like, pick your poison. The government, the more it steps back and let the free market regulate itself through commercial incentives, that's just always the best outcome, except for health and safety, because you can't have people skimping on steel sizes because they want to save a bit of money. That's got to be a regulatory requirement. Yeah, I don't really think about that. I just don't think they should have fucking this mandated EPC target.
It's because every other country is performing way better than us at producing energy. So it's like we're kind of like exposed in the European stats that we're just super inefficient, and that's because a lot of these locations, like you got, I think like the Nordics are like the most efficient, but they're building like timber frame brand new sheds, and to take them down or refit them is not that difficult. But you chuck them into like for an example, Westminster Abbey, and be like, right then, champs, get your fucking expanding foam out and make a mess of that. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, but Jack, you've said a pretty extreme example there to paint the analogy, and obviously that sounds mental, yeah. But it is also mental on these old Victorians, where you've got solid brick build-up. You put insulation on them. Now your bricks can't breathe. You get all these sweating issues and mold build-up. So you have to put in all these extra provisions, and it's just cost and cost and cost and cost that's getting passed on to the homeowner or onto the tenant, and it's mental. A Victorian building, they're going to last way longer than these timber frame houses. So where's the benefit there? Do you want a building that's going to last way longer, or do you want a building that's just going to be slightly more energy efficient now, and you have to rebuild it later anyway? That's going to probably cost you more in carbon emissions and all this other stuff. It's like it's not done well enough.
Construction. What is it? The energy performance of the actual construction of it is construction is the largest contributor to greenhouse gases. So I mean, that's yeah.
They focused all the time on green energy, some nuclear plants and green solar and wind. They can burn the energy how you like because it ain't really affecting anything at the back end.
But also frack. We're sat on so much gas. Like, why aren't we just fracking? Like this whole idea of get away from gas. It's like it's a clean energy. It's not like digging up coal. Like we just should be fracking and bringing.
We got lots of coal. We got lots of oils. We got lots of oils. Lots of beautiful oil.
Speaking of him, did you see Elon come out and apologize? Well, kind of apologize. He's like, I regret what I said last week about Trump. I thought it was quite big of him to say that.
Yeah, that is big. The bigger man.
A bit extreme. Can we just touch on one last thing before we leave? I'm selfishly just want to get your guys' opinion on this. Yeah, but all right, one last thing. Come on, Jack. One more. Have you seen what's going on in Ireland? It's fucking like I mean, you see what's going on in America, and it's all around immigration. And there's all the protests and everything going on in California, and it's becoming riots. It's becoming, pretty vile for people. And now it's happening in Ireland. And they're burning down homes. It's like been a 4-day event so far, all around immigration. We don't have to touch on the detail of it yet. Wait and see what detail comes out. And I think, everyone I speak to at the moment, there's just this pent up kind of rage over our government's prioritization of, people and how they're spending public funds. And I can just see, mate, I think there's a catalyst coming. If they keep pushing this and they don't do something about immigration, I think we're going to see riots across the country. Like,
I think you'll find on a previous podcast, that was my prediction by the end of the year. So we've still got 6 months to go, but there will be civil unrest this before Christmas. It's coming. It's inevitable. The kettle is boiling and it's about to boil over.
Yeah, make sure they get finished just before Christmas as well. I don't want to ruin Christmas.
Yeah, obviously, what a night. Please don't ruin Christmas. But yeah, I just thought that was.
It will probably come. My guess is now it's probably going to come after the autumn budget.
Yeah, exactly what we've been.
Autumn to November. It's going to be. Oh, by the way, your taxes are going up because we spent all the money on things we wanted to, which we didn't need to spend, and we've lowered our defence spend. The Foreign Office has got fucking no money. David Lammy, do what you can to protect our borders with nothing, and but everyone can go and sit in a queue at NHS for that little bit shorter period of time because that's what everyone wants. It's just going to get so messy. But who knows?
Run on the pound, mate. So run on the pound, run the bond market. If they don't get this autumn budget right, and I don't see how they're going to do it because they're going to have to
get your money out of fiat. Get your money out of fiat as quick as you can, and then you can sit back and go, you know what? If it happens, it happens. I've got an insurance policy, and that's what Bitcoin is. So we've done our bit. At the end of the day, I've wanted to come on here. One of the main things to actually start documenting and recording me saying this stuff. If you go back, we were skiing a few weeks ago. It was 90,000. It went to 80,000. It's now 106,000. It doesn't stop. We almost need to put a Bitcoin price on these. That's what I've been asking me that. We need to do Bitcoin price today is this, and then we just track it for the next year, and it'll just help people visualize what's going on in a parallel universe next to their own local currency. But anyway, let's go.
I'm all in with you. Let's go make some
fiat because it's fucking worthless anyway.
buy some fucking Bitcoin. But thank you everyone for listening to this episode. Make sure you subscribe. Go on, Jack. What have you got to say?
I was going to say, Stu, let us know how you get on with your horse racing.
Yeah, we'll do, mate. Let us know where you finish on your golf day. Enjoy the beers after and the weekend, guys. And see you next week.
Big love, guys.
Happy
See ya.
Father's Day, Stu. Have a good weekend.
Last final, enjoy. Yeah, should be good. See you, boys.
Ground up sound. Ooh, yeah.